Bangkok. Thailand's vibrant capital offers visitors a rich tapestry of ornate temples, gleaming skyscrapers, irresistible shopping, mouth-watering cuisine, and bustling street life. Most of it spread east from the banks of the winding Chao Phraya River all the way to the city's two busy international airports. What most people don't know is that Bangkok wasn't the capital until relatively recently. For most of Thai history, the capital sat dozens of kilometers to the north, in Ayutthaya. It was moved down the Chao Phraya and, for a brief 15-year period before shifting to its present location on the river's east bank, was situated across the river in a part of the city called Thonburi. The man who moved it was born in 1734 to a local woman and a merchant who immigrated to Siam from China's Guangdong province. An up-and-comer in Ayutthaya's court, Jung Sin, or Sin as he was nicknamed, was at the age of 30 appointed governor of Tak province. His title, Phaya Tak, but he was better known as Taksin. Less than a year into Taksin's governorship, though, Burmese armies conquered much of what is now northern Thailand and Laos, then moved south against Ayutthaya. Taksin was summoned back to the capital to help defend it. In January 1766, the Burmese reached Ayutthaya and laid siege to the Siamese capital, then one of the world's biggest cities. After almost a year of battling the Burmese, Ayutthaya was buckling, its food and ammunition depleted. Taksin gathered his Siamese Chinese forces, about 500 men, and late at night on January 3rd, 1767, broke through the Burmese lines to flee eastward. Repelling the pursuing Burmese forces, Taksin led his forces south through Chanthaburi to the many Teochew Chinese settlements along the eastern seaboard in what is now Chanthaburi. He then fought his way south through what is now Pattaya to Rayong, where he raised a small army and navy. On April 7, 1767, Ayutthaya finally fell. The invading Burmese sacked and razed the ancient capital, killed the king, and took roughly 30,000 prisoners back to Burma. Siam splintered into 6 fiefdoms, with Taksin in control of the east coast. In June, he and his army moved east to capture the Teochew entrepot of Chanthaburi and made his base there. By November, Taksin had expanded his force to 5,000 with 100 ships and launched his counter-attack. Sailing up the Chao Phraya River, he seized Bangkok from the garrison there. On November the 6th, he sailed upstream, defeated the 3,000 Burmese left defending the ruins of Ayutthaya, and liberated the Siamese capital. But the once thriving metropolis was now an empty, smoldering ruin. Rebuilding it would have required vast resources from an already war-ravaged kingdom. Taksin instead set his sights downstream on the island town locals called Bangkok, but which an earlier king had dubbed Thonburi Si Mahasamud. There, the fortress of Wittayakhom still stood, as well as the wall built around it 2 centuries earlier. Bangkok also had the advantage of being closer to the sea, with a Chinese settlement that Taksin could tap to quickly revive trade and import rice to the hungry populace until domestic crops could be restored. Bangkok had thrived during the 80 years since Siam's army ejected French forces there. Trade continued to flourish, and with it the town, giving rise to a growing number of temples along the Chao Phraya's original route, as well as the newer shortcut, or Klong Lat, dug 200 years before. After Wat Paknam Pasi Charun came a new temple on Bangkok Noi, Wat Suwannaram in 1685, and 3 more on Klong Lat, Wat Makok, Wat Podaram, and Wat Rakhang Khositaram. More sprung up on Bangkok Yai, Wat Nok, then Wat Bangwak, Wat Chanthaburi, Wat Sankrajai, and Wat Intharam. When Taksin moved in, he built a new palace within the old city walls near Wittayakhom. On December 28, 1767, he established Thonburi as the new capital and was crowned king of Siam. He was just 34 years old. In 1771, Taksin expanded Thonburi's original fortifications north to Bangkok Noi Canal by digging a moat and piling the excavated soil into battlements. Bricks were then transported from defeated Burmese camps and from the ruins of Ayutthaya itself to build a new city wall. Taksin spent the next decade reuniting and expanding Siam in battles against the Burmese as well as enemies in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. But the years of war took their toll. By 1781, Taksin had become increasingly devout, believing he was a future Buddha. In April 1782, Taksin was overthrown in a coup and executed. Despite the violent end to his 15-year reign, Taksin the Great remains one of Thailand's most revered former monarchs. His statues can be found all over Thonburi, the capital he created, where devotees pray for success and the defeat of their enemies. There's even a bridge and a corresponding metro station named after him. There aren't an overwhelming number of options for lodgings in ancient Thonburi. The once walled city is today dominated by a hospital, temples, and the Royal Thai Navy. Close to Pranok Pier, though, you'll find charming Ban Wan Lang Riverside. This 32-room hotel sits right on the Chao Phraya River with its entrance in bustling Wang Lang Market. Nearby sits the tranquil 85-room theatre residence. As its name suggests, this hotel was an open-air theatre until it was converted in 1992 by a noted Thai actress whose mother founded the company that runs the Chao Phraya River ferries. The same family happens to own the Supatra River House across the street, an excellent spot for a sumptuous dinner along ancient Thonburi's riverfront. Bangkok is famous for its street food, so don't miss the variety of dishes turned out at these humble street-side diners and carts. Just order, grab a fork and spoon from the box on your table, and dig in. You pay the bill after you eat. For a light bite in Old Thonburi, wander down Arun Amarin Road to Clean and Clear Meatball Noodles, where you can have a bowl of delicious, what else, noodles with pork or beef. Perhaps the best map of Taksin's Thonburi is one drawn by a Burmese spy towards the end of the kingdom. You can view a copy by heading to where Bangkok Noi meets the Chao Phraya at the Siriraj Bimuskthan Museum. Part of the Siriraj Hospital Museum sits along what used to be the northern end of the walled city. Part of Thonburi's original wall, unearthed during construction, is on display outside. A 15-minute walk south through Wang Lang Market, past Supatra River House and theatre residence, sits Wat Rakhang Khositaram. Originally called Wat Luang, King Taksin restored it during his reign. Much of Taksin's Thonburi is now secluded behind the walls of the Thai Navy's headquarters and dockyards. You can get a sneak peek aboard a river ferry between Tachang and Rachini piers. Look to the west bank as you go by, and you'll get a glimpse of Taksin's Wang Derm Palace, as well as the King Taksin Monument just upstream from Wichai Prosit Fort. From Itsarapap subway station, it's a short walk to the Bangkok Yai Canal, where you can pay your respects at the Chinese-themed King Taksin Shrine. For a more intimate homage to the king who liberated and reunited the nation, head further up Bangkok Yai to Wat Intharam. Wat Intharam was built long before Taksin's reign, during the Ayutthaya period, but Taksin restored it and visited frequently to meditate. After his death, therefore, his ashes were interred here, in one of these two lotus bud-shaped stupas. Nearby, behind the equestrian statue of King Taksin, is the King Taksin Temple. Here, you can pray for success, victory, and the defeat of your own enemies.